All right, we have reached the semifinals of Wimbledon 2025. We are down to the last four players, and after a ton of upsets, mostly in the early rounds, we have the most predictable semifinal lineup. Of course, we have Djokovic versus Sinner again for the second major in a row. They will face again in the semifinals. And then in the other semifinal, we have Alcaraz versus Fritz, which is also no surprise. Fritz has won 2 grass court titles leading up to Wimbledon. So even though he actually had a very difficult draw, at least in the first 2 rounds, he had a nightmare first 2 rounds, he was able to come through both of those rounds in 5 sets, and then after that he won his matches in fewer than 5 sets. So I said before the tournament started that if someone other than Alcaraz, Sinner, or Djokovic wins the tournament, I will be shocked. And now the only other person who is able to shock me at this point is Fritz. If Fritz wins the tournament by defeating Alcaraz in the semifinals and then either Sinner or Djokovic in the final. If Fritz does that, I will truly be shocked. But 3 out of the 3 people that I said I would be shocked if anybody else wins the tournament have all made it to the semifinals. And this is not any shock or bold prediction, of course. These are the top 3 favorites that almost everybody had at the beginning of the tournament. So it is definitely true that if Fritz wins, if someone other than these 3 win the tournament, I will be shocked. So obviously, you can kind of already see that I'm not going to predict Fritz to win the semifinal against Alcaraz. So I don't want to make this video very long, actually. Some of my videos, when it gets to this stage in a tournament, have gotten to be somewhat long. But I kind of have to go to bed, even though it's not that late. I still kind of want to go to bed. And I am also still not really happy that Sinner is still in the tournament. This guy should have been out here, but we all know what happened there. So this video will not be as long as some of the other videos of this type have been. But let's just talk about the 2 semifinals. And first, let's start with Alcaraz versus Fritz. So, as I already said, Fritz is not going to win this match. If Fritz wins this match, I will truly be shocked. But Fritz is playing solid tennis, I'll say. I don't think he's playing amazingly, but he's playing solidly. The problem is that the only thing that Fritz does better than Alcaraz basically is his serve. So when you only do one thing better than your opponent, it's very difficult to win tennis matches. So in order for Fritz to win this match, he has to have an unbelievable serving day, and he also has to have one of the best matches of his career outside of serving, because only serving will probably not be enough against Alcaraz unless he serves completely untouchable and completely out of his mind, and then is super clutch/lucky in tiebreaks. That is a scenario where maybe only the serve will be enough. But even then, you still need to have a decent ground game. You still need to have some decent shots from the back of the court and other stuff like that. If you have only a serve and nothing else, you will not win. But Fritz, he does not have only a serve. He has solid ground strokes from both wings, forehand and backhand. His problem is his movement. Even though, credit to him, his movement has improved a lot in the past few years, but it's still not that great. Coco Gauff still probably moves better than he does. I mean, Coco Gauff is a good mover, but you know what I mean. So there is that, and also his net and forecourt game is not really that great either. So he does have solid ground strokes. So for him to win this match, he would need to have an unbelievable serving day, and his ground strokes need to be firing on all cylinders. It is not like he has only a serve and nothing else, but his serve is the only part of his game that is better than Alcaraz. someone who has only a serve is the guy that Fritz defeated in the first round, after Fritz was actually 2 sets to love down, and both of those sets he lost in tiebreaks. Because the player that he faced literally only has a serve, and basically nothing else. And that player, of course, is Mpetshi Pericard, the French kid. He basically only has a serve. There is pretty much nothing else that is really standout or really even good about his game, to be honest. And people were hyping him at the end of the last year when he won Basel because they're like, oh, this guy's going to be a problem. His serve is unbreakable. We need a new serve bot. But he is a pure serve bot. He literally has absolutely nothing else. At least John Isner had a good forehand and maybe a decent, at least decent ground game. Decent, at least, because he couldn't move very well. He was like 6'10", 6'11", or something. But he at least had a good forehand, and he at least had a decent baseline game with what he could do. He beat Djokovic like twice, I believe. So you will not do that with only a serve. Only a serve. Of course, his serve is by far the best part of his game, but he still has a good forehand and a decent game from the back of the court, even though he can't move very well. Mpetshi Pericard, he literally only has a serve. He does not have a good ground game from the back of the court. We know this because he didn't generate a single break point, I believe, in his match against Fritz in the entire 5 sets. And he also did the same this year against Monfils at the first round of the Australian Open. Went 5 sets and didn't generate a single break point. He also won 2 sets in tiebreaks, I believe. It was the third and fourth set instead of the first and second set like it was against Fritz this time. But that is a guy who only has a serve. Fritz has a serve that is not as good as Mpetshi Pericard's, but the rest of his game is better than Mpetshi Pericard's. At least most of it. So, but anyway, the problem with Fritz in this tournament is his greatest strength is his serve, but he is not making enough. He is not making enough first serves to defeat Alcaraz. At least if you look at his last match against Khachanov, which I predicted incorrectly, actually. I said that Khachanov would win in 5 sets, but he lost in 4 sets, 7-6 in the 4th set. This could definitely have gone to 5 if Khachanov had won that 4th set. But in the first, and Khachanov actually, I think Khachanov could actually have won this match because he had break chances. Or no, wait. Did he have? Okay, no, actually no. Khachanov couldn't have won this match. So I predicted that wrong, and I said that it would be a tricky match to predict. I didn't watch most of the match, as you can tell. But this could have gone 5 sets, but Khachanov he couldn't really have won this match, based on the chances that he had, I won't say, because Fritz, he was probably serving too well. He was serving too well in the, in the first set. He was winning a high percentage of first serve points in the first 2 sets, and also in the 4th set. But in the second set, he was not consistent throughout the whole match in his first serve percentage. In order to beat Alcaraz, he will need to be above 65% for the entire match, most likely. Because if he is below that, Alcaraz will punish him on the returns, and if they get into a rally from the back, a longer rally above 5 shots, it is advantage Carlos, because Alcaraz is better from the baseline than Fritz. So Fritz was not consistent in his first serve percentage throughout the match. He served a really high percentage of first serves in the first set and the 4th set. He served 79% first serves in the first set, and 82% first serves in the 4th set. But in the second and third sets, he served 48 and 38% first serves in, respectively. So that is way too low. But the thing is, he actually won the second set serving only 48% first serves in. That's because he was facing Khachanov. If he was facing Alcaraz, he would never have won that set. With only 48% first serves in, no way would he have won that set. So he lost one set against Khachanov, serving 38%, but he won one set serving 48%. Against Alcaraz, that means he will lose at least, if he was playing Alcaraz in this match, he would have lost at least 2 sets and most likely a third set. So at least Fritz is winning a high percentage behind his first serves, even when he is not making a lot of them. In the second set, he won 91% behind his first serve, even though he only made 48% of his first serves. So Fritz's first serve percentage is not consistent enough throughout the match, consistently high enough to make me believe that he will defeat Alcaraz. But I think that he can take one set because he is still playing solidly, but Alcaraz is playing better. He destroyed Cameron Norrie in the quarterfinals. Of course, Cameron Norrie is not the highest quality opponent, but he still destroyed him with a very high level performance. 72% first serves in, 39 winners and 26 unforced errors. So Alcaraz is definitely playing the better tennis than Fritz. But Fritz is not playing badly. He's just not playing good enough to defeat Alcaraz. He's playing well enough to take maybe one set. So that's all I believe he will do. And I think that Alcaraz will defeat Fritz in 4 sets. And now for the other semifinal, which some will call the blockbuster, but which I will not, because, again, like in the semifinals of the French Open, I'm not looking forward to this match. Okay, I am, but I'm not like as hyped about it as other people are, because I don't have much faith in the person whom I want to win, which is of course Djokovic. I of course want him to win, but I don't believe that he will win. Exactly like I believe I said at the French Open. And I was right there. He lost in straight sets. So now we have the same thing, the same scenario, where I don't like to see Djokovic lose, so I am not super hyped for this match, especially after Sinner has defeated him 4 times in a row. And also Sinner shouldn't even be here, so that makes it worse. But look, I don't want to talk about Sinner that much, so let's just give my prediction. Djokovic is playing well, but it won't be enough. I think he will give Sinner a tougher time than at the French Open. That was a competitive match, but the problem with Djokovic is that he can't break Sinner's serve. He broke Sinner's serve like one time in the entire match at that French Open on slow clay, with Sinner serving like 50% first serves in. So he just can't break his serve. He can barely do that. So that is his big problem. And if you can't break your opponent's serve, it is very hard to win a tennis match. Unless you are a serve bot and you just win by winning in tiebreaks over and over. But Djokovic is not exactly a serve bot. So it will be hard to defeat a player like Jannik Sinner only in tiebreaks. Sinner is pretty clutch. So Djokovic, he could theoretically just keep holding his serve and win in tiebreaks by being very clutch, but that would be difficult to do against Sinner, especially when Sinner will be putting pressure on Djokovic's service games as well. So I do think that Djokovic will give Sinner more trouble than in the French Open, but I don't think that he will win. I think both of these players are playing at a high level, but Sinner's just too strong. I mean, he's not unbeatable, because we saw Dimitrov had him 2 sets to love. He took 2 sets from him. He was up 2 sets to love, Dimitrov. So obviously Sinner's not unbeatable. But let me say this. After the Dimitrov match, some people were saying, "Oh, Sinner, he hurt his elbow. Oh, Sinner will be unsure after this match. It will be awkward to readjust, and then maybe now he will lose to Shelton. Now he will have a tough match against Shelton. Maybe this will go 4 or 5 sets." Shelton cannot even take one set from Sinner. I knew that immediately as Sinner won that match versus Dimitrov. As soon as Sinner progressed to the quarterfinals against Shelton, I knew immediately he would defeat Shelton in straight sets. I knew that his elbow would not be a big enough problem for Shelton to take even a single set from him. And it was not. Do you know why? Because Sinner had won 12 sets in a row against Shelton coming into this quarterfinal match, and now he has won 15 sets in a row. So I knew that his supposed elbow problem would not even be enough for Shelton to take a single set, because Sinner just owns Shelton. So I knew that this wouldn't be a problem, and I knew that no way will Sinner lose to Shelton. That will definitely not happen anytime soon, at least. So people were thinking this could be competitive. I did not think so, and I was right. Sinner won in straight sets. Big surprise there. I knew that he wouldn't have any problems with his elbow or anything like that. And maybe some people will say, "Oh, you could see a little bit." I didn't actually bother watching most of the match. I watched maybe a few games. But this guy's elbow is fine. Let's be honest. There's nothing wrong with his elbow. Come on now. You couldn't see anything. He just defeated a top 10 player in straight sets. There's no problems with his elbow. He was just getting owned by Dimitrov. Come on now. Let's not be silly. So, will Sinner's elbow problem be a problem in the semifinals? Absolutely not. He will be in top condition, peak form. That will just be an excuse. There will be nothing wrong with him at all. So, Sinner will win this match against Djokovic again. Unfortunately, not looking forward to that part of it, but I gotta accept that it will happen. You know, Djokovic has to stop winning everything at some point. So, but I do think that Djokovic will give Sinner a harder time here than at the French Open, because the grass will help his game a little more, theoretically. At least he'll have an easier time holding serve against Sinner. He will maybe not have an easier time breaking Sinner's serve. Maybe not, because you never know, maybe with Sinner's movement and stuff like that on the grass, blah, blah, blah. But it will still not be easy either way. So, I think that Sinner will win this match, but I think that it will be in 5 sets. I think that this can be a battle. And Djokovic, I don't have hope of Djokovic. So, I really want him to win this match, but I don't believe that he will. But even if he were to, he still has Alcaraz waiting in the final. So the job will be far from over, and then it will be, again, annoying for him to win the semifinal, get over that huge mountain in Sinner, only to lose to Alcaraz for the 3rd Wimbledon in a row. So that will not be satisfying either. So there's basically only one good result here, which is that Djokovic wins the entire tournament, but that is not likely to happen. But it is still more likely than Fritz winning, of course. But, again, my favorites have not changed from the beginning of the tournament. Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic in that order. And maybe Fritz would be after that. So, yeah, I'm not sure which is worse, actually. Djokovic losing to Sinner for the 5th time in a row, or Djokovic losing to Alcaraz for the 3rd Wimbledon in a row. Wimbledon final in a row, mind you. So, yeah, it's not going to be fun coming up, most likely. But I think Sinner wins this in 5 sets. Alcaraz defeats Fritz in 4 sets. And we have another final at a major between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, which is, I guess, what the people want.